Rain and the Moon by Onyx Moon on AO3. Read by Lily6645. This fic may include angst, near-death experiences, and implied abuse. That is your warning. Chapter 6. The Key to Being a Free Bird. After a while, the rain stopped, and all that was left was the sound of crickets in the air. Shinso lay there thinking. He was so lost in thought, he didn't notice the person that was now standing next to him.
What is a kid like you doing out alone at night?
The man's voice was raspy. Shinso jolted, looking over to where the voice came from, sitting up as he did so. "Who are you?" Shinso practically yelled. The man laughed.
You can call me Shigaraki. What's your name?
Scowling, Shinso asked, "Why do you want to know that?"
I want to recruit you. So unless you want to be called Purple, then I need your name.
Shigaraki sits down next to Shinso. "Recruit me? For what? And purple is fine until I know I can trust you." Hitoshi shifted to look at Shigaraki head on.
For my organization, the League of Villains.
The wind howled in the silence that followed Shigaraki's statement. "A villain wants to recruit me. No, I want to be a hero. Should I call the police or heroes?"
What do you say, Purple? Will you join me, or will you be killed?
Why do you want me? Shinso was curious and also just stalling. He smiled.
Your voice.
My voice. What about it?
I heard your singing and saw how it ensnared people. Tell me, what's your quirk called?
Shinso sat straight up at the question. I don't have one. Shigaraki sat straight up at the question. It doesn't have one, but if I could give it a name, it would be a siren. Shinso smiled at the sky, forgetting for a moment that there was a villain sitting right next to him. I want to be a hero so badly, though, to prove I'm not a villain, but if I give my quirk that name, then I'm going to be put out as one. Shigaraki looked at him knowingly.
I once wanted to be a hero just like you, but my family. Never mind about that. My quirk is called Decay. I can decay anything I touch if I have all 5 fingers on the object.
Shinso was now looking at him.
The heroes didn't help me when I needed them. What makes you think they'll help you?
Shinso looked at his hands. Shigaraki continued.
The people that you spend your time around don't even trust you.
He pointed at the muzzle that was still laying on the floor.
What makes you think the heroes are any better? No matter how hard you work, the heroes will never accept you. All they care about are flashy quirks and money. But if you come with me, your time and hard work will be valued. Your quirk will be accepted.
Shinso looked skeptical. Should I accept? It sounds like he has good intentions. I could thrive, be happy even. He smiled, but the smile turned wicked at his next thought. I could make the people that hurt me suffer. My name is Shinso Hitoshi. He held out a hand.
I'll take that as a yes, Shinso.
Shigaraki held his own hand out with his pinky finger up. After shaking hands, Shigaraki pulled out his phone and called someone. Shinso looked over to where the muzzle lay. Picking it up, he pressed it up to his face as though he was going to put it back on. The sharp edges of where the muzzle came in contact with his cheek and made him start to bleed again. He held it there for a while, letting the blood run down his cheeks, feeling the warmth of the blood. He only pulled it off after a puddle had formed around him. When he did, he had to yank it off because in the time that the muzzle was on his face, he pushed it into his face so far that it left deep cuts. Shinso had a manic glint in his eyes, mouth stretched with a sharp smile. Clearly, something had snapped within him at finally accepting what he had been denying. His insanity had already been on the verge of collapse. But now that he had been given a key to freedom and a chance to be happy, he had simply let go of any strands of what of his sanity he still had. Besides, he was a villain now. Shigaraki POV. When Shigaraki got off the phone and looked over to Shinso, he nearly dropped his phone off the roof. The sight Shigaraki had been greeted to was the one of Shinso with blood all over his hands, face, clothes, and around him on the roof. He was also holding the muzzle in his lap, but when Shigaraki looked at his face, he scooted back a little. Shinso was looking at the sky, the moon shining on him, blood streaming down his face, all put together with his sharp smile and wide eyes. I made a great choice. Sensei will be pleased. He needs a little stabilizing, but that's not an issue. He looked behind him when a cold spot formed to see a black swirling portal. Tapping Shinso's arm to get his attention was a risky move considering that he was still severely mentally unstable.
Shinso,
He was cut off by the purple-haired boy saying, Hitoshi. Call me Hitoshi. I don't like my family name.
Okay then. Hitoshi, let's go home.
Both of them got up and walked towards the black hole, and both stepped in. The only thing indicating someone was there was the blood and muzzle that were left on the roof. When they got to the bar, Shigaraki went to get a washcloth and water so that Hitoshi could clean some of the blood off. Shinso's POV. When Shigaraki was out of sight, Hitoshi started to look around, leaving a trail of blood wherever he went. He came across a corner that was not covered by the wall and squatted down to look out of it. What he sees is a black cat with the most beautiful green eyes. he's ever seen. He pulled it inside and then cradled it to his chest, sharp and long fingernails running through its fur, covering its beautiful black coat with red, hot, sticky blood. Standing up, he walked over to the bar stool and sat down, as well as sitting the cat down on the counter, reaching up to his left cheek and digging his own long nails into the large gash that the muzzle left behind, making it bleed again. I need to feel something. Anything. The coolness of scales on his neck started to bring him back to himself, slowly but surely. Holding a hand up to his neck, the snake wrapped itself around his wrist. Hitoshi looked around for the cat, but couldn't find it from where he was sitting.
How aren't you dead? The amount of blood you're losing is fucking insane.
Shinso looked over to where Shigaraki was standing and smiled. This is midnight. He held up his hand with the snake.
Okay, but that doesn't answer my fucking question. How are you not dead?
The blue-haired man walked closer with a rag and bucket full of water. He cleaned off all the blood, then put disinfectant and gauze on both wounds and put bandages on them. Shinso hissed at the pain, trying to get away. I don't know, but would you stop that bitch? It hurts. That is the end of Chapter 6 of Rain and the Moon by Onyx Moon on AO3. If you liked this, please go support the original author. Link in the description below. Hope you have a good day, night, or whatever time zone you're in. Bye, kittens!